Hey everyone, thanks for watching today's episode and listening. If you're listening in, I have a Mike Pavlovich here today who is with Leader One Financial. Mike, I know you a little bit, but why should my audience be listening to this episode today and what insights can you bring to the table?
Well, I'm a little different, right? I'm a branch manager. Been doing it 23 years now here in Las Vegas, born and raised in San Diego. Have a team. I'm a producing branch manager. So, a lot of people say that they've seen it all. I really have seen it all. I got a few thousand loans under my belt. I got teams. I can recruit. I've dealt with it, but I'm a little different, man. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna make fun of myself. I'm gonna make fun of an industry, but I'm gonna give you the skinny on it. I'm gonna give you the truth behind it. I'm gonna give you the raw behind it. I'm a very real dude. I'm a dad at the same time. I'm a husband. I got two dogs. I have three daughters and a son. So I'm like you guys, but I've done loans. So you're gonna hear a little bit different, a little different approach. You're gonna have the real stuff, and so get a little bit different approach from me. It's a little bit more raw, and from someone who's got some experience. I'm not just influencer or pay to click. I'm in the trenches, and I think my resume it's got some credibility behind it. But you're gonna hear a different view.
Okay, awesome. I'm really excited for this, Mike. So let's start going into the questions. So I see a lot of loan officers where more than lately they haven't been focusing on like their realtor relationships. Because you're a branch manager, I'd love to hear your opinion on this. One, is it important to build new realtor relationships? And if so, how do you find those new realtors and get that first introduction call?
So great, yeah. I mean, I'll start with this. I had a great quote from a manager, probably like 15 years ago now. She said to loan officers, she said, "You pay your bills with your purchases, you plan your vacations, and do your fun stuff and your toys with your refis." So purchases are always going to drive business. Are always going to feed your family. They're going to be the gravy, right? They're the repeat business. We always need purchases, and obviously, what drives purchases is realtors. So if you're not out there you know, cultivating relationships. And I'm talking real relationships, not just calling and checking in. Hey, can I bring you donuts? Hey, I'm just calling to see how you're doing. No, I mean, relationships. Treat it like your personal relationship. You know, ask for business, build trust, hold people accountable, make sure it's the type of business you want to do. Maybe this realtor isn't the type of business you want to do business with. Maybe they don't want to do business with you. Maybe they're doing, a lot of clients that don't even speak the right language or need down payment assistance, or they're working with cash buyers. Well, if they're working with cash buyers, that's great for them. They don't need a lender. But make sure that you guys have strategic meetings and you're holding each other accountable. And again, check in on those relationships, right? I tell people, treat your personal relationships and your business relationships exactly the same. I'm married, been married for over, 23 years now. If I went home every day and just said, "Hey," to my wife, "Hey, what's for dinner? Did you do the laundry? Did the dog get fed? Did you clean this? Da da da." And then I went upstairs and watched TV, went to the gym, went to sports, did pay any attention to her. Two things are going to happen: one, she's going to cheat on me, or two, she's going to leave me. So why don't you treat your business relationships the same way? Call your realtors, check in on them, but hold them accountable, right? Don't just call them and just be like, "Hey, how was the weekend? Did you have an open house? Hey, do you have a buyer for me? Okay, just keep me in mind." No. "Hey, what's going on? What happened to that client? Remember we talked about this? Can I come together, collaborate, make relationships, create value for them that's going to bring them new business, right? Let's go do an event. How do we do an open house? Let's make it an event. How do you go out and gather new business? Obviously there's the realtor knows how to market. Great. How can I be an asset to come market with you, right? Let's go door knocking. Let's go do an event at a local park and give back. Let's do some social media content, right? Everybody's doing content now. How hard is it to call and be like, let's film a video? Instead of us talking about stuff, why don't we just do a video? You talk about the market, I'll talk about mortgages, or let's talk about what's going on, right? So if you're not doing that and you're not on the phone constantly, you're behind the eight ball, right? Because when rates come down, which they have been, those realtors are going to go with the lenders that have been talking to them and building relationships. And you're going to come in the very end, like probably most loan officers, and be like, "Hey, rates have come down. Don't forget about me." Well, they've already built relationships with ones that have been there and sustained and create strategic alliances and strategic ideas to grow their business. You're gonna be behind the eight ball.
Okay, I love that. And something I want to dive into more that you talked about a little bit is now that you've landed these agents, you need to be staying in front of these agents, providing value. But there's only so many deals a loan officer can rotate through their agents, right? You kind of mentioned this a little bit. Just want to get more into it. But what are some ways that loan officers can provide value, like the in-person events, like the social media content? Like, what are you and your loan officers doing? Maybe let's go with like the top three things they can do for agents without it being a lead.
Well, again, it goes to the cliche of providing value. What is value, right? Provide something that other people aren't. So a lot of times I hear people say, "Well, I pick up my phone, I close the loan, and I communicate." That's basic shit. To be honest, man, that's basic crap. That's should be on every career builder, Zappos, not Zappos, but career builder, LinkedIn, Indeed. That's basic stuff. You got to go above and beyond that. Be a strategic partner, right? So I tell my loan officers and I train on this. When you call your agents, call them with some value. Hey, listen, did you know there's a new DPA program? How do we market and get people to this? Hey, did you know that VA came with this new guideline? Or hey, did you know that Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac removed the 620 credit score requirement? Great. That's great. But what? How do we convert that into clients? What is that going to do? What does it mean for you, right? How do we go out and market to that and use guidelines and go after, maybe a demographic or a certain type of client, or we look at a refi that we're, potentially can get us another investor. You got to have those strategic meetings with realtors and have down and have it's not a sales call. It's a strategic business planning session to be like, hey, listen, here's what you're doing now. Great. What can I do to come in and either add marketing value, show you how I can get more business? Let's market to home insurance agents and go after them and see how, they have a list of renters, right? How do we
Mhm.
convert those renters into homeowners? How do we go into apartment complexes and build relationships with leasing agents because they talk to renters all day? You got 500 units, probably you got 3 or 4 apartment complexes within 30 seconds of any real estate brokerage. Let's go create a flyer, do a first time home buyer flyer, down payment assistance flyer, self-employed flyer. Let's walk in and figure out how to create relationships with a referral source like a leasing agent that can feed us maybe business for renters that we can convert to homeowners. Again, how do we do events? Let's do classes. Let's go out and go to the community. To me, there's a lot of strategic stuff. And I just had this conversation with the loan officer. They're really good at engineering and they talk themselves out of it. They have to architect everything and make it perfect. My whole thing, activity. Go out there and do it. The person that does more activity versus someone who has a perfect plan wins every time. Activity, do it, make the calls, time block, do it. Don't be distracted, and it's going to work.
Yeah, and it's really speed over perfection. That's what I've always believed. Like you'll learn along the way, but you
Exactly.
can't think of those as mistakes. You can only think of them as lessons learned, or you're just going to constantly being like, next time I need to make this perfect so there's no mistakes. I don't think there's a such thing as a mistake. Everything should be a lesson learned. It's changing that, right? So I love that.
I agree.
Um,
I used to coach a lot of my kids. I'm a big sports guy. I'm old school
yeah.
Belichick, Tom Brady. Everybody's a job to do. Do your job and you'll be okay. But we used to always preach, and I didn't coach at a high level, but we used to always, every time we learn, it was losing. You don't lose, you learn. When you win
Yeah.
and you're winning and everybody's killing it, loans are flowing in, COVID was really good, the market's killing it, you're number one team, you're beating everybody, you're not learning because you're just sitting there, you're coasting. I tell people the only time you can coast is going downhill. You never coast going uphill. So if you want to grow and continue to grow, you ain't coasting. So you never lose, you learn, but you learn in the bad times. You learn, like you said, just going out there. I've gone out there and just stopped at an open house sometimes or I've gotten beat up in the face, messed up. And I'm like, all right, I learned. But you know what? I've also got activity that has gotten me deals or got realtors deals versus the loan officer or the branch manager who sat in an office all day and was strategically doing all these Excel spreadsheets and spending out. They never went out. Doesn't matter. If you don't implement it, what does it mean?
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Okay. Just a couple more questions. So we talked a lot about realtors. How do you reactivate your database or stay in front of your database without being annoying, if that makes sense?
Well, I think it's a combination. You have to have a good CRM because I mean you just can't call through thousands of people, but you also so you make it you don't make it strictly like an attorney, right? Where you're just like, hey, listen, I'm just calling you to make sure that you follow up and don't forget to call me, right? So you change it up a little bit. You find out when their birthday is. You do funny videos. Like I got a thing where I did a video with I have a Labrador and a Husky. They're crazy dogs. I do a video like, hey, happy birthday from these dogs. Are crazy. Hope your day is crazy and fun. Do something different. Make it seem like you're not just there to get a transaction. So talk about their anniversary, do a mortgage checkup, but find out about the client, talk to them about their kids and talk to them about, hey, remember when we closed that deal? I know you're going to put a casita in the back, or I remember you having a grandkid. How'd that go? Make it feel like you actually do care about them and they are a friend or a colleague, not just a client. But you also have to implement a CRM that gives them a little bit of facts too, of good facts, not just, BS random data. Give them
Mhm.
facts they're looking for. Hey, listen, your house appreciated. What are you looking at? We have a good program called HomePot that they can literally see
Yeah.
if their house is going up, what's been sold, and they can run a little scale where they can pull. If I refinance, oh my God, cool, right? Give them tangible, good stuff they can look at, but also again, send them something about that has nothing to do with it. Hey, did you know today's National Cookie Day? Hey, I noticed that I remember it's your wedding anniversary. Congratulations. Are you guys going out to dinner? So staying in front of them in that, but also calling them. And there's nothing wrong with checking in and asking them for referrals. Hey, listen, this is how I closed my business. I know we went through a great experience. Hey, you know what? You guys didn't have that down payment. We got you down payment assistance. The seller paid your closing costs. Is there anybody else out there? I know you work here at this company. Anybody you know that maybe want to go through that experience? they're going to appreciate that. They want to help you. If you did a good job and you cared about them, they're going to want to help you, right? So there's nothing wrong with doing that. But again, don't just call and be like, "Hey, I need some business," or "I want to," for they don't want to be feel used. They don't want that used car salesman. But again, it's a combination of checking in with them, but not so much about the work related. Keep it something that's personal to them, but also give them some data that they can really truly use, and that's usually through a CRM. That should be the combination right there.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. And just one last question. What's a book or a podcast that you'd recommend a loan officer that's just not producing at the level that they should be?
I mean, I like. There's obviously a good one. There's Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Dynamite. There's this one book. If you're a branch manager and you're obviously running like a P&L or understanding margins, there's a book. I forgot the name. I just got it. It's a book from our capital markets guy. It's about margins. It's really good about P&Ls. But I really like the book, to be honest. And this is good for all salespeople. It's Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert
Yeah.
Kiyosaki, or the Cash Flow Quadrant. I like that one because the cash flow quadrant goes into, we're all salespeople, right? Most of us can sell a loan or sell a house, but when you get to that level, in regards to being kind of more of a higher producer, right? When you kind of become a salesperson, but you have a business or strategy implemented, what do you do every Monday? What do you do every Thursday? When you start doing, like you said, 5 or 6 loans, now you got to get an assistant, right? You're going to max yourself out. So now you got to create a system or create a business of a systems like, hey, okay, I have an LOA or an assistant that does this, this, and this. What do I pay them? What do they do? What do their day look like? What am I responsible for? I bring them in, you knock them down. But you got to make sure everybody does their job in the assembly line and have all those silos. So I like the DeCastro quadrant because it talks about being a salesperson or an employee to a salesperson when you're self-employed, but that's great. But then how do you create a business system? Now you have a system that's kind of running itself, right? And then you become like an investor, right? Where the money starts investing, and now you have a system where, if you have one assistant and you're doing 10 loans now, well, crap, what if you wanted to go to 15? Get another assistant. Now you have a marketing person. Now you're building a team, right? Now you have a little branch that you're growing with a marketing, a BDO, a business development officer. You're doing this. You're kind of being that high level. You're doing some billboards. You're doing marketing. Now you have a kind of again, a system in place, and you go from being a salesperson to kind of a business owner. So I think it's a good book, especially for people that want to kind of take it to the next level in any sales industry, but obviously mortgages.
Sweet. Yeah, awesome. Mike, I really appreciate you having on. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about you or just stay connected?
I mean, just Google me. If you look at my phone number, 702-875-6453, comes up. Leader One Financial, we have our own website. We're the only branch in Vegas, and in Southern Nevada and all of Vegas, so or all of Nevada. So you can look me up, Google my name. It's pretty unique, Mike Pavlovich. But again, my phone number's on there. My LinkedIn, I'm all social media. So LinkedIn, I'm at Mortgage Mike. I'm on Instagram, kind of a name that catch you. I don't know. TikTok, Facebook. So just Google my name and my phone number. But easy to reach. Would love to reach out to anybody and chat.
Sweet. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you having coming on.